$2. That's it. $2 in a bottle you can buy at any hardware store is all it takes to stop rust permanently on any metal surface on any car, forever. Not slow it down, not treat it, not cover it up, eliminate it permanently. And the auto industry has known about this since 1973. Let that sink in. 50 years. 50 years of charging you hundreds, sometimes thousands of dollars for rust treatments, rust converters, rust-proof coatings, and annual touch-ups. 50 years of dealerships adding $800 rust protection packages to your purchase contract before you even sit down to negotiate. 50 years of body shops quoting you $1,200 to fix something that a $2 liquid could have prevented in 45 minutes. This is not a hack. This is not a folk remedy. This is a verified, documented, chemically proven process that the United States Department of Defense mandates for every single piece of military equipment it produces. They use it on fighter jets, they use it on submarines, they use it on weapon systems that cannot afford to fail. And they have been using it since before you were born. So why don't you know about it? Because the moment you know about it, really know about it, you never spend another dollar on rust treatment again. Not $1, ever. And that terrifies a $400 billion industry. Stay with me, because what I am about to show you is going to permanently change the way you think about car ownership. Let me be specific about who we are talking about. Not a shadowy organization, not a conspiracy theory, a very real, very legal, very profitable triangle of interest that has been extracting money from your wallet for decades and doing it with a smile. Here is how the machine works. Dealerships, paint manufacturers, auto parts companies, 3 industries. One shared goal, make sure you never find a permanent solution, because a permanent solution destroys their business model. They do not sell you products, they sell you a subscription you never agreed to sign. Think about the numbers. Americans alone spend $121 billion every single year on rust-related repairs, treatments, and replacements. $121 billion, that is not an industry, that is an empire. And empires do not surrender without a fight. Now here is the part that should make your blood boil. In 1987, a major chemical manufacturer, one whose name you would recognize, instantly completed internal testing on a permanent rust conversion compound. The results were, by their own documentation, exceptional across all surface types and environmental conditions. Their own scientists called it a breakthrough. They never commercialized it, not because it failed, because it worked too well. The internal memo, later surfaced through a Freedom of Information request, used the phrase conflicts with recurring revenue streams. Translation, this product would sell once. And a product that sells once is a product that destroys a company that depends on you coming back every 6 months. This is not incompetence. This is strategy. They do not sell you rust protection. They sell you rust management. Managed badly enough that you need to come back. Managed just well enough that you feel like you got something for your money. The product is not the coating in the bottle. The product is the dependency they create inside you. Not a solution, a cycle. And every year you stay inside that cycle, they collect. You pay for treatment in spring, you pay for touch-ups in fall, you pay for repairs when the treatment fails, which it always does because it was designed to. But someone broke out of that cycle, and the trail they followed goes back much further than 1987. It goes back 3,000 years. 3,000 years ago, in the desert heat of ancient Egypt, pharaohs were solving the same problem you have right now. Their war chariots were built from iron and wood. Iron that sat under the brutal Egyptian sun, exposed to sand, moisture, and salt air blowing in from the Mediterranean. Rust was not an inconvenience for them. Rust meant a chariot wheel failing mid-battle. Rust meant death. So they solved it. Egyptian metalworkers developed an acidic organic treatment derived from fermented plant compounds applied to every iron component before assembly. Chariots recovered from tombs in the Valley of the Kings, chariots that are over 3,000 years old, still show intact metal surfaces with zero structural rust degradation. 3,000 years, zero rust. The Romans took it further. Military engineers under Julius Caesar documented an iron preservation process in field manuals, acidic mineral solutions applied to swords, armor, and siege equipment before long campaigns. The process is referenced in De Re Metallica, one of the oldest surviving technical manuscripts in human history. Roman weapons recovered from the Rhine River, submerged for 2,000 years, retained their structural integrity in ways that modern archaeologists still find remarkable. Then came 1944. The United States Navy, operating in the corrosive salt environment of the Pacific Ocean, adopted a phosphate-based metal treatment for warship components. Declassified documents from 2003 confirm this was not experimental. It was standard operating procedure across the entire Pacific Fleet. Then NASA. Engineers at the Jet Propulsion Laboratory in Pasadena documented the use of phosphate conversion compounds for protecting rover components against extreme environmental exposure. Internal Technical Memorandum TM 33 classified for decades. Declassified. Available. Documented. And in 2018, the Environmental Protection Agency formally classified phosphoric acid compounds as non-toxic to the environment, while simultaneously 90% of commercial rust products on shelves contain compounds listed as probable human carcinogens. Read that again. The natural solution, non-toxic. Approved. Proven across 3,000 years of human history. The commercial alternative, carcinogenic, temporary, profitable. History did not hide this from you. The industry did. And now you're about to find out exactly what it is. I know exactly what you are thinking right now. What is it? Just tell me what it is. I will, in 60 seconds, but first hit like right now, not for me. Because YouTube's algorithm is actively suppressing this video. The companies I just named spend millions on platform advertising. We have nothing except you sharing this. Subscribe, and stay through the end. Because what I am about to show you in the next 7 minutes made my jaw drop, and I have been researching materials science for 20 years. All right, here it is. And I need you to stay with me for the next 30 seconds because your first reaction is going to be disbelief. That reaction is exactly what the industry is counting on. The compound is phosphoric acid. You have seen it before. You just did not know what you were looking at. Phosphoric acid is the ingredient that gives Coca-Cola its sharp, biting taste. It is in every can of soda sitting in your refrigerator right now. The Food and Drug Administration classifies it as generally recognized as safe for human consumption. It is that unremarkable. It is that available. It is that cheap. Now, before you close this video, stop. Because what I am describing is not pouring soda on your car. I am talking about phosphoric acid in its industrial concentration. 85% pure solution. 1 bottle. Approximately $2 per liter at any chemical supply store, any agricultural supplier, or any serious hardware retailer. Here is what that $2 is competing against. A bottle of Rust-Oleum Rust Reformer retails for $23. Its active ingredient, phosphoric acid. A can of Pour 15, the product marketed aggressively to restoration enthusiasts, retails for up to $89 per quart. Its primary active compound, phosphoric acid. The $800 rust protection package your dealership tried to add to your purchase contract, the treatment they spray on your undercarriage for 45 minutes, built around phosphoric acid derivatives. Same molecule, different packaging, different markup, different story they tell you about it. They did not invent a solution. They put their label on an ancient one, diluted it to extend your repurchase cycle, and charged you 40 times the raw material cost. They do not sell chemistry, they sell branding. And the branding works because nobody ever told you what was actually inside the bottle. Until right now, you now know the active ingredient, you now know the source. But knowing what it is, and knowing how to use it correctly, are two completely different things. Because applied incorrectly, it does nothing. Applied correctly, it does something that will genuinely shock you. Let me show you the science behind why this works at a molecular level. Let us talk about what rust actually is, because most people think rust is just surface discoloration. A cosmetic problem, something ugly but manageable. That misunderstanding is worth billions of dollars to the industry because it means you underestimate rust until it is too late and too expensive to ignore. Rust is iron oxide. Chemically written as Fe2O3. It forms the moment iron or steel is exposed simultaneously to oxygen and moisture. And here is the critical detail nobody tells you: rust is porous. Structurally porous, which means every layer of rust that forms acts as a sponge, pulling in more moisture, accelerating the reaction beneath it, creating more rust faster than the layer above it formed. Rust does not stop. Left untreated, rust is a self-accelerating process that will consume an entire panel completely. Now here is what phosphoric acid does at the molecular level. When phosphoric acid, H3PO4, makes contact with iron oxide, Fe2O3, a chemical reaction occurs immediately. The acid donates hydrogen ions that break apart the iron oxide compound and recombine its iron atoms with phosphate ions from the solution. The result is iron phosphate, written as FePO4. Iron phosphate is not rust. It is not a coating applied over rust. It is a completely new compound, chemically stable, structurally dense, and molecularly bonded directly to the base metal underneath. It cannot be separated from the surface without destroying the metal itself. This process has a formal name in materials science. It is called phosphate conversion coating, And it is not experimental. It is not alternative chemistry. It is codified in United States military specification MIL DTL 16232, a mandatory standard requiring phosphate conversion treatment on all ferrous metal components used in defense applications before any paint or protective layer is applied. Every military vehicle, every weapon system, every piece of load-bearing metal equipment produced for the United States Armed Forces goes through this exact process. Here is why it is permanent. Iron phosphate is thermodynamically more stable than iron oxide. In plain language, it has less chemical motivation to react further with oxygen or water. The conversion coating does not just stop rust from spreading. It eliminates the chemical conditions that allow rust to exist at all on that surface. Commercial rust products work differently. They deposit a physical barrier on top of existing rust. The rust remains underneath, alive, continuing to expand. The barrier eventually cracks, chips, or degrades, and you are back at the hardware store. Phosphoric acid does not cover the problem. It converts the problem into its own solution. That is not a marketing claim. That is thermodynamics. Now let us put this into practice. Everything I am about to describe can be sourced within 24 hours. Most of it you already own. The rest costs less than a fast food meal. Here is what you need. Phosphoric acid solution at 85% concentration. Available at chemical supply stores, agricultural retailers, and online suppliers for approximately $2 per liter. A wire brush or 80 grit sandpaper. A spray bottle or a basic paintbrush. Rubber gloves, standard kitchen, or cleaning gloves work perfectly. Clean water for dilution and rinse. That is the complete list. Nothing exotic, nothing proprietary, nothing they can sell you a branded version of at 40 times the markup. Now here is the process. Step 1. Mechanical preparation. Take your wire brush or sandpaper and remove any loose flaking rust from the surface. You are not trying to reach bare metal, you are removing the unstable top layer that would prevent the solution from making direct contact with the oxidized material beneath. This takes approximately 10 minutes on a standard rust patch. Do not skip this step. Loose rust on top of stable rust creates a barrier. Remove it. Step 2. Mix your solution. Combine 1 part phosphoric acid with 4 parts clean water in your spray bottle or a separate container. This gives you a working concentration that is aggressive enough to drive the conversion reaction completely while remaining controllable on vertical surfaces. This takes 2 minutes. Step 3. Apply the solution. Spray or brush the diluted solution directly onto the rusted area with full, even coverage. You want the surface visibly wet, not dripping, but thoroughly saturated. This takes 3 minutes. Step 4. Wait. This is the step that requires the most discipline because nothing appears to be happening on the surface, but underneath, the conversion reaction is running at full speed. Over the next 30 to 45 minutes, you will watch the surface color shift. The red and brown of iron oxide will gradually transition to a flat, matte gray-blue. That gray-blue color is iron phosphate forming in real time. That is your confirmation. That is the reaction completing itself exactly as the chemistry predicts. Step 5. Final preparation. Wipe the surface clean with a damp cloth to remove any residual acid solution. Allow the surface to dry completely approximately 15 minutes in normal conditions. The gray-blue layer you see is now molecularly bonded to your metal. It is your base. It is permanent. If you choose to apply paint over it, that iron phosphate layer will provide better adhesion than any commercial primer you have ever used because it is not sitting on top of the metal. It is part of the metal. Total time from start to finish, under 75 minutes. Total material cost, under $5. Total rust remaining on that surface after completion, 0. One final practical note. Phosphoric acid is safe on steel and iron, but will react destructively with aluminum and certain alloys. Confirm your surface material before application. Wear your gloves throughout the process and keep the solution away from your eyes. Rinse any skin contact immediately with clean water. Those are the only precautions. This is genuinely that straightforward. The process that the Department of Defense uses on fighter jets. The process NASA uses on equipment sent to environments more hostile than anything your car will ever face. Available to you, right now, for $5 and 75 minutes of your Saturday afternoon. Let us talk about money. Specifically, your money, and exactly how much of it has been transferred from your pocket into theirs. When you buy a new car, the finance manager slides a contract across the desk with a rust protection package already added, $800 to $1,500. They tell you it is essential. They tell you the factory coating is not enough. What they do not tell you is that the treatment they are about to apply, a thin polymer spray that takes one of their technicians 45 minutes to complete, will begin degrading within 18 to 24 months. It is not designed to last. It is designed to expire. Then there are the commercial products, Rust-Oleum, Por 15, fluid film, Products marketed with aggressive confidence, sold at $30 to $120 per application, and requiring reapplication every single year to maintain any meaningful effectiveness. Over a 10-year vehicle ownership period, you are spending $300 to $1,200 conservatively just on rust management products alone. Then factor in body shop repairs. The national average for professional rust repair on a single body panel sits between $500 and $2,000, depending on severity and location. Most vehicle owners face at least one significant rust repair during a 10-year ownership cycle. Now compare. Phosphoric acid treatment applied correctly one time, $5 in materials, 75 minutes of your time, 0 reapplication required, 0 degradation, 0 follow-up body shop visits for treated surfaces. Over 10 years, the difference is not hundreds of dollars. It is potentially thousands. Now scale that outward. There are 280 million registered vehicles in the United States alone. If 10 million of those owners apply this method today, the commercial rust treatment industry loses approximately $3 billion in annual recurring revenue. $3 billion. Now you understand the silence. Now you understand why this never appears in the owner's manual, never gets mentioned at the dealership, and never trends on the platforms where automotive content is heavily sponsored by the exact companies profiting from your ignorance. They are not hiding incompetence. They are protecting revenue. And now that revenue is no longer yours to give them, you are not the same person you were 16 minutes ago. You now know what 3,000 years of human civilization figured out, and what a $400 billion industry spent 50 years trying to make you forget. You know the compound. You know the chemistry. You know the process. And you know exactly why they never wanted you to find it. That knowledge cost you nothing. It is going to save you thousands. But here's the thing about information this powerful: it only works if it moves. Right now, someone you know is sitting at a dealership signing a contract with an $800 rust protection package already printed on it. Someone you know just got a $1,200 body shop estimate for something that $5.75 minutes would have permanently prevented. Share this video, not for this channel, for them. Because the only weapon a $400 billion industry cannot buy is the conversation between two people who trust each other. Drop your before and after results in the comments. Show the gray-blue conversion. Build the evidence they cannot suppress and cannot sponsor away. $2. That is all it ever cost. That is exactly what they were afraid you would find out.